My name is Kevin Miller, 29, and single. I work as a researcher at a major pharmaceutical company. I graduated from a famous national university's pharmacy department and got the job I've always wanted, with a salary and bonus that's more than enough. Living in a lavish apartment, perfect for a single person, surrounded by friends, my job is both challenging and fulfilling. Now, anyone might think when hearing this, man, he's got it all. But in reality, I have no parents. When I was a baby, I was involved in a car accident and I was the only survivor. Having no relatives or grandparents, I was raised in an orphanage. The caretakers were kind and I didn't feel lonely since there were many other children in the similar circumstances, but it wasn't what you'd call a privileged environment. I had 3 meals a day, a roof over our heads, and received basic education. I was grateful for that, but not being able to study as I wanted was tough. In the orphanage, children were expected to move out and be on their own by 18, so going to college seemed like literally just a dream. I loved to study, so this was the hardest part for me. Then, there was a helping hand known as Daddy Longlegs. I don't know who or where he's from. He made regular donations to my orphanage, and hearing about my exceptional performances in middle and high school, that he or she has decided to fully sponsor my college tuition and living expenses. When I was in my senior year of high school, the head of the orphanage told me this, and I remember pinching myself multiple times thinking, is this a dream? However, there were conditions.
I need regular reports on your grades. If they're not up to par, I might stop the support. And please don't ever try to find out who Daddy Longlegs is.
Though I wanted to thank him/her someday, I agreed. I believed graduating with honors would be the best way to repay him, so I focused on my studies. As a result, I graduated with honors and got a job of my dreams and lived my life. Yet, I still don't know who Daddy Longlegs is. I believe the best thing I can do is develop effective medicines to help those suffering from illnesses and work hard every day. Then, one day, I was called by my boss. Nervously thinking that I have made a mistake at work, I went to his office, only to hear something I have never imagined.
Kevin, do you have a girlfriend?
No, not right now.
Great. How about meeting a young lady I know?
Excuse me. Apparently, the daughter of a close acquaintance to my boss runs a medical equipment company, and it seems like he wants to meet me. Of course, I don't know this woman. I wondered why she'd be interested in me, and before I could say anything, my boss continued.
I want you to hear the details from her directly. Can you do this for me?
I couldn't refuse. And plus, I was also curious. Why on earth would she want to meet me? As I agreed, he told me the time and place. He told me not to think too much about it, but she's the daughter of a major medical equipment company's CEO. So I decided to at least dress appropriately for the occasion. On the day, I went to this first-class hotel, through the pivoted door and headed to the designated tea room. Announcing myself to the receptionist, I was shown to my seat. The others had already arrived. It was my matchmaking partner, Ms. Catherine Thompson, and President Thompson. I'm sorry to keep you waiting.
No worries, we just got here.
I think it's natural to be here before time for occasions like this.
While Catherine replied with a smile, Mr. Thompson seemed stern. I was sure about this. He was unwilling to this setup. While not sure what to do, I seated. After exchanging brief introductions, we started with a casual small talk. Catherine gave off the vibe of a refined lady, but she was friendly, cheerful, and had an infectious, bubbly laugh. Her father, the CEO, seemed to be in a bad mood the whole time and didn't even try to hide it. Occasionally, Catherine would look at me with an apologetic eye. What a wonderful woman. By the time an hour had passed since our conversation began, I was completely captivated by Catherine. However, she was obviously out of my league. I felt a bit down, thinking that this must all be some kind of mistake. Why did you want to meet me? We've never met before, right? I asked a question that had been on my mind the whole time. When Catherine opened her mouth, the CEO cut in.
I heard you're quite an accomplished man, especially for someone who grew up in an orphanage. Just out of mere curiosity, that is.
The way he talked sounded like he was mocking me. It annoyed me, but I held my tongue.
I always believed that those who grew up in places like that weren't worth much. But you seem to be an exception. I heard you graduated college with outstanding grades. Well, thanks to someone's charity, I guess.
Father, that's rude.
Catherine grabbed the CEO's arm. What's his problem? If he disliked the idea so much, he shouldn't have arranged this meeting. Why am I treated like this? I never asked for it. Yes, you're right. I grew up in an orphanage. And yes, an unknown benefactor helped me through college. But I've never been ashamed of that.
Not even ashamed of accepting charity. What guts you have.
Father.
There was an awkward silence. For Catherine's sake, I thought I should let it go, but his next words set me off.
All of you who grew up in orphanages, are you all as shameless as him?
The only shameless one here is you. The CEO and I glared at each other. While silently apologizing to Catherine in my heart, I continued. Images of all the kids I grew up with filled my mind. Kids who grew up in orphanages have various backgrounds. It's true that many of us depends on charity to survive. But because of that, we all aspire to contribute to society when we grow up. Do you not even know that? And you run a medical device company dealing with other people's lives.
What did you say? You have some nerves to say that.
The next moment, I was drenched. Mr. Thompson had thrown his iced water glass at me with anger. Murmurs spread across the quiet tea room. I saw the staff hurrying over when, suddenly, an elderly woman in a dress stood up from a nearby table. She went straight to Mr. Thompson and spilled the drink in her glass over his head.
Grandma.
Catherine exclaimed. At the same time, the CEO yelled, "Mother."
I had a feeling something like this might happen, so I was watching the whole time.
The woman sighed and apologized to the staff. "I'm sorry for causing a scene." She took a handkerchief out of her bag and handed it to me.
I'm sorry for my son's behavior. After all, we invited you here.
It's okay.
That damn son of mine, I told him he shouldn't come.
After wiping down the table and chair with a wet cloth given by the staff, the woman took a seat next to me.
Allow me to introduce myself properly. I'm Camelia Thompson. I'm the chairperson of Thompson Manufacturers. Maybe you know me better as Daddy Longlegs.
Well, what? I was so surprised, I nearly jumped out of my chair. I have never imagined that the Daddy Longlegs I had longed to meet was none other than the chairperson of the Thompson Manufacturing. With a chuckle, Camelia Thompson added,
I was the one who set this up, you know.
She told me she had always been watching over me. The facility director had told her that I wasn't just brilliant, but I was also loved by the little kids, and I was the oldest reliable brother in the facility.
As I heard about how well you were doing as a researcher, I couldn't help but wish for you to become Catherine's husband,
said Camelia. Following her, Catherine continued,
Every time my grandma told me about Kevin, I just wanted to meet him so much that I requested this opportunity.
I was simply shocked at this unexpected turn. Mr. Thompson looked displeased with his arms crossed.
Please forgive my foolish son. He was just upset about the idea of you taking Catherine away and was carping about you. I'm embarrassed that he is still over-attached to me.
She sighed. I was speechless. It seems Mr. Thompson insisted on coming to this instead of Camellia. Camellia, anticipating trouble, had come ahead of us and witnessed the scene where Mr. Thompson splashed water on me.
What's not to like about this wonderful young man?
After she exclaimed in exasperation, Mr. Thompson mumbled, "It's because he's so wonderful."
He's just as you described, Mother. He's more than a gentleman when it comes to Catherine. And it's clear from his conversation that he's sharp. He's a much finer man than I imagined. That's why I don't like him. I just thought he was pretending to be someone he's not, and I wanted to know his true colors.
We three were at a loss for words at the ridiculousness of it all. Even I, who was supposed to have been praised, was confused. A tense silence continued. Just as I felt like I need to break it, Catherine suddenly burst into laughter.
So it means Dad's just jealous of Kevin, right?
With tears of laughter in her eyes, she playfully slapped Mr. Thompson on the back. "I'm not jealous of this young guy," he protested, his face turning slightly red.
Oh, come on, this is all so ridiculous. What a farce.
Camellia said, bowing her head slightly to me.
I'm really sorry about all this.
She apologized. "No, please, I should be the one apologizing." I got up and gave a deep bow to Camellia. Considering all the kindness I had received, merely bowing didn't seem enough, but at last, I got the chance to thank the daddy long legs. I could feel my entire body trembling. "I don't even know how to express my gratitude for all you've done. It's thanks to you that I'm here, alive and well today. Thank you so much." I couldn't hold back my tears. Overwhelmed with emotion, I couldn't even lift my head. Then, I felt a warm hand on my shoulder.
It's all due to your hard work, Camellia assured me. Despite the many hardships you've faced, you've persevered. I'm proud of you.
Her words touched me deeply into my heart. My tears dropped onto the floor. I wiped them away with the handkerchief Camellia had given me. I've been rather rude to Mr. Thompson too, but I meant what I said. Please don't have prejudices against the kids from the facility.
I know.
He responded.
I purposely made those remarks to make you feel upset. I'm sorry.
His words were barely audible, but I finally felt a sense of relief. I felt as though I'd gotten a glimpse of the complex emotions of a protective father.
Shall we restart this? There's a wonderful steak restaurant in this hotel. Let's all go together.
Camellia said, clapping her hands and standing up. Everything happened so suddenly, and I was still in a bit of a daze, but I followed the three of them. The restaurant was on the top floor, and the view outside the window was bathed in the colors of sunset. I knew I'd never forget this beautiful sight. Later, Catherine and I began to go on occasional dates. We weren't officially dating yet, but my feelings for her grew every time I see her. I've decided to confess my feelings someday. But thinking of Mr. Thompson's reaction, I don't have what it takes to tell her. How would he feel knowing that I, a young upstart, was in love with his beloved daughter? Would he break down in tears? The mere thought made me feel complicated.
What's on your mind, Kevin?
Catherine, who had been sipping her tea, looked at me curiously. I quickly responded, "It's nothing." Seeing Catherine smile so genuinely made me realize just how adorable she truly is. And a feeling rose up in my heart, a desire to make her happy, and before I knew it, I had blurted out a confession. I'll never forget the smile of Catherine with her cheeks blushed and giving a small nod.